Algebra 2, section 4.7 deals with inverse matrices. So basically we're trying to find the inverse of a matrix so that when you multiply them together, you get the identity, which is a 1 down the diagonal. Okay, so basically when you're thinking of an inverse matrix, it's kind of like an inverse of a fraction. So if I have 3 over 7, the inverse would be 7 over 3 because when I multiply those together, I get 1. Does that make sense? So 1 is my identity. In this case, because a matrix is not just one number, it's an entire set of numbers, our identity is 1 on the diagonal. But it's the same concept. Basically, when you multiply a matrix and its inverse together, you get what is called the identity function. We're dealing with the 2 by 2. This is what it looks like, 3 by 3, 4 by 4, and so on and so forth. But specifically, we're dealing with the 2 by 2 at this point because there's actually an inverse of the 2 by 2. There's a formula that you can do so you don't have to do the whole multiplying together. So here it says A is your regular matrix, and A negative 1 is the inverse of your matrix, and you multiply them together to get the I, which is identity. So if I were to multiply again the original and the inverse, I should get this. If I don't get it, then it is not an inverse. So if I take this, okay, and I have my original inverse and I label it A, B, C, D, then I'm going to take it and plug it into this equation. This equation will then give me my inverse. So it's not too terribly difficult. Hopefully you'll catch on, but this is the equation that you're going to be using. So don't forget to pause and write down, and then the vocabulary as well. Alright, so the first one here we have is negative 1, 0, 8, negative 2. Alright, so this would be our A, B, C, D. If you can look back in your notes where we had the formula in the previous board, A, B, C, D. So A negative 1, or whatever letter they assign this, negative 1, equals 1 over A, D minus BC, D minus BC, sorry, negative CA. Okay, just so we have the formula here. So it equals 1 over A times D, so this times this. Okay, this is, you can know this is actually the determinant. So this times this, negative 1, okay, times negative 2, minus this times this. So 8 times 0. And then we have D, which is negative 2. And then we have B, negative B, so I have to switch it to negative, but because it's a 0, it doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to leave this as 0. And then this is a negative C, so instead of this, if this is already negative, then it becomes a positive, but because it's a positive, I'm going to put negative 8, okay? And then the last one is A. Okay? So, from there, okay, we then will have 1 over negative 1 times negative 2 is 2 minus 8 times 0, which is 0, so this would be 1 over 2. And then it would be negative 2, 0, negative 8, negative 1. Now, if this is a scalar multiple, remember, you take this and you multiply each by 1/2. But you could, if it doesn't give you a whole number, if you get fractions, you could just make this your answer. So either this, or you multiply each one by 1/2. So 2 times 1/2, negative 2 times 1/2, 0 times 1/2, okay, negative 8 times 1/2, and negative 1 times 1/2. This would give me negative 2, this would be negative 1, 0, negative 4, negative 1/2. So either one of these answers are then acceptable. So basically what I did is I figured this out. Whatever this is, if you get a whole number, go ahead and multiply each one by that number, just like I did here. But I will accept either one of these. Sometimes it's super complicated. It's like 1 over 27 or something like that. But basically, you fill it in and you solve. All right? Let's try this one. Okay? We have the a negative 1. This is a negative, we have 1 over negative 4 times 3 minus negative 2 times 6, right? And we have d is 3. This is negative b, so negative 6. This is already a negative 2. So because c is negative, we're going to make it a positive 2. And then this would be negative 4. Okay? So 1 over negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. So minus a negative 12, which then would give me 0. So if this fraction is 1 over 0, if you remember, any fraction with a 0 on the denominator is undefined. So because this has a 0 on the bottom, this is undefined. And you just don't go anywhere from there. You can't solve it. Alright? So again, if you get 0 on the denominator, then you go ahead and just do undefined. Other than that, it's just fill in and solve. Okay? So I'll see you in class. Don't forget to do page 212, number 5, up here, 212, number 5, and I will see you guys in class.